Hello, everyone, and welcome to December 30th, the sixth day of the Octave of Christmas. And I pray that you and your families were able to enjoy a peaceful Christmas wherever and however you are able to do that this year. So let's listen to today's gospel reading. And this is taken from the Gospel of Luke. There was a prophetess, Anna, the daughter of Phanuel of the tribe of Asher. She was advanced in years, having lived 7 years with her husband after her marriage, and then as a widow until she was 84. She never left the temple, but worshipped night and day with fasting and prayer. And coming forward at that very time, she gave thanks to God and spoke about the child to all who were waiting the redemption of Jerusalem. When they had fulfilled all the prescriptions of the law of the Lord, they returned to Galilee, to their own town of Nazareth. The child grew and became strong, filled with wisdom, and the favor of God was upon him. This reading was a part of the gospel from this past Sunday for the Feast of the Holy Family, and it's a continuation of the gospel reading that we heard yesterday, when we find Mary and Joseph presenting the baby Jesus in the temple, and they encounter Simeon. So here we have these two figures, Simeon and Anna. Both have devoted their lives to prayer and fasting, to praising God and waiting in hope for the one who would redeem Israel. Both Simeon and Anna lived in a space of expectation and anticipation of the promise made by God, that they would one day encounter and meet the one that they were waiting for, the one who would be the light to the nations. And here they are in this story, at this moment, meeting Jesus. I think this scripture passage is a good one for us to consider, especially as we welcome a new year, 2021, in just 2 days. We can ask ourselves, how do we find ourselves at the end of 2020 in expectation of a new year? What is the disposition of our hearts and our spirits as we close one year and begin another? Are we like Simeon and Anna, with hearts wide open and trusting in God? Or perhaps is there something that's blocking us in moving forward? I think it'd be a good time to reflect on the question, what grace do you think you need to ask of God to help you walk into this new year with a sense of peace? What grace do you think you need to ask of God? And I've been reflecting on that for myself. Admittedly, part of my personality is being a control freak. Any of you who know me well can certainly attest to this. I write out my lists of what needs to be done. I try to stay organized and keep everything moving smoothly. My brothers tease me all the time about being very aware of details, and there's a certain coworker who loves to tease me about my use of clipboards and trying to keep things in order. But the truth is that none of that desire to keep things in control has served me well during this past year, when I realize how little I have been able to control in terms of what has happened with my mom during these months of the pandemic. She lives in an assisted living in Pennsylvania, and we had a few months of the warmer weather of social distanced visiting, but most of the months have been locked down. And we were not able to be with her for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. And As many of you who are going through the same situation know, it's just really hard. It's been a struggle. And so I know that as I come to the end of this year, I need to pray for the grace of trust. And trusting my mom into the care of God and into the care of those who take care of her where she lives. As I continue to reflect on this year, I am filled with this increasing sense of urgency in addressing the injustices of this past year that we've witnessed throughout this year, whether it be the inequalities that have been made visible by the pandemic or the racial disparities that have become painfully clear, or the ongoing tragedy at the border, or the financial hardships that so many have faced. I continue to wrestle within myself of how I'm being called to respond to these injustices. So, as I know I need to ask for the grace of trust in relationship to my mom, I also know that I need to ask for the grace of courage. Courage to respond to these cries of my brothers and sisters from within our local area, our country, and our world. And so I pose to each of you, as you reflect on this past year and consider this new year that awaits, what grace do you need to ask of God to help you walk into this new year with a sense of peace, a sense of hope? And as you discover that grace or graces that you need most, I encourage you to write it down and to keep it somewhere that you will readily see it, to serve as a reminder to you, and that each time you see it, to stop and offer a prayer to God asking for that grace. Simeon and Anna remind us that God hears us and promises to bring us to a place where our hopes are realized. Simeon and Anna, they remind us that God hears us and promises us to bring us to a place where our hopes are realized. Let's keep praying for whatever grace we know that we need in order to be like Simeon and Anna and to walk into this new year with peace and with hope. May you and all you love continue to enjoy the beauty of the Christmas season. And I wish you every blessing for the year 2021. So, Happy New Year, everyone.